Hello, DCS school families. Now that we're entering into our cold and flu season, I'd like to go over how do you respond to a sick kid as a parent. There's really just three options. If your kid's exhibiting any symptoms related to COVID-19, which is a number, cold, cough, flu, diarrhea, body aches, headaches, you can look at the chart here that you see on your screen. Any of these are symptoms, which I know is just about everything related to an illness. If you have one of those, you have three options. One is that you simply quarantine your student for 10 days. You need to notify the school office, of course. The second option is that you can reach out to your doctor and see if they are willing to say, yes, this is related to something else. It's a cold, it's strep, it's whatever it may be, which still may require a doctor's visit. And you bring that note to the school notifying us that this is not COVID-19 related, their illness. The third option is that you can go in and get tested for a COVID-19 test. This typically still requires a doctor's note to be able to get that test ordered. So those are your three options. I know none of those are ideal. No parents would like those because you're looking at your kid being out for possibly at least a couple days while you either wait for that doctor's note or that COVID-19 test, which I know is not ideal. But those are really the only three options that we do have if your kid has any of these symptoms. So if your kid just has a little bit of a runny nose and you let us know, they're going to have to go through this process. It is also important to note that your student cannot come back to school until they are symptom free for 24 hours. So even if a doctor clears your student, but they still have a runny nose, they have vomiting, they have diarrhea, they can still not come back to school. If a student does have a negative COVID test, they can come back to school even if they're showing symptoms, except for the following symptoms: fever, diarrhea, or vomiting. And those must not be evident for 24 hours for that student to return back to school. So even if they have a negative COVID test, they cannot have any of those three symptoms for the previous 24 hours before returning back to school. One of the reasons for this is our one student who did test positive for COVID-19 exhibited just minor cold symptoms. So even something that looks or masks like a cold or a minor flu or runny nose could indeed be COVID-19. So we are required by the Oregon Health Authority to walk through these steps. This was sent out in the Eagle Eye most recently. We'll have it up on the website as well, along with this video, but please follow these steps. We want to make sure that we not only can keep your child safe, but also keep the rest of our students, their families, and our staff healthy and safe. And one of the reasons for this is if we do have a couple of COVID-19 cases from different families, the state, the Oregon Health Authority, will close the school back down to fully being distance learning for a 2-week time span, which we would like to avoid. So just process those things as you're making these decisions and take the appropriate steps needed for your family and your student if they are sick. A couple notes to mention though: if you have one of your students sick, one of your children sick, but the others are not, the others can still come to school. So keep that in mind as well. Just because a parent is sick or a kid is sick does not mean that you have to quarantine the entire family. The only time which the whole family has to be quarantined is if someone in the family has COVID-19. If someone in the family has come into contact with somebody who had COVID-19, that family member may be required to also quarantine, but it would only apply to those who came into direct contact. Of course, if you have any questions, you can always call your doctor or nurse and reach out to them for advice as well, since they are the experts in this, more so than we are as school as employees and educators. The health field is typically not our area of expertise. Thank you, and feel free to call us if you guys have any questions.